hello. Hey, hey. All right. So, Geminis, welcome back. Let's jump on into a storytelling for you guys. Um, we're going to see how this starts out and just take it from there. This is nice freestyle, but I do want to begin with one oracle card for starters. We shall see where this one takes us. Temptation. You will be tested on where your heart is truly invested. And this looks so much like the is it Snow White where she offers the apple? The fact that we start out with temptation. I mean, Gemini is the card of duality, the card of choice. In the major arcana, it's the Lover's card that certainly represents choice for the Gemini. So the fact that there's temptation, it could even represent that our Gemini is going to be given an opportunity to have one thing or another. This doesn't mean it has to be in love or romance. It could be in anything. It could be an opportunity of, continuing to like live with a roommate, where it's like, oh, this is my best friend, or wow, there's this great apartment that I'm not on the roommate's lease. I've just been subletting. I could technically move out into my own place. It'd be, really everything that I want. Whatever this boils down to, I do feel like Gemini is going to be between a rock and a hard place a little bit because it's what they want. It's something that they feel with the Queen of Wands. This is like, wow, this is right up my alley, but they feel like their hands are tied. Why does Gemini feel like their hands are tied? When this is like, oh my God, this is so meant for me. This is perfect for me. We've got a Six of Pentacles in the reverse. Their hands are tied. Something about it. It's weird because if there's something that they really want that they feel is perfect for them, but they feel like they can't have it, it almost looks like it's because they would need someone else to back them in this. They need the added support and they just don't either want to ask somebody to support them. Like, let's use this as an example. Let's go back to that first example that I said, like maybe Gemini is like, hey, I could move out into my own place. I found this perfect place, but maybe they would need like to ask that friend, like, hey, can you give me back my deposit so I can get this other place? And they're just like, oh, I cringe, asking them for that when I know they're counting on me to, pay half of the rent because it's making their life smoother too. But on the other hand, I do want something that like really works for me, something that feels amazing, an opportunity that I really want to have. It feels like Gemini is trapped between something that feels amazing for themselves and they almost feel guilty about it, or like they don't want to go after the thing that they want because they're in a kind of a sticky situation. Present moment, Eight of Wands. Someone might take a drive to clear their head, just to kind of like symbolically say, okay, in my present moment, I still have to think about my future. So let me, a winding road is a great metaphor for where's my life taking me. The choices I make today impact how my life will go tomorrow. That may or may not help them too much in deciding what's the right choice, but they are bringing it back to saying, I have to plan what my future is going to look like. And the choices that I make today impact my future. So what do I do? They're going to have to talk to somebody about this. The Eight of Wands is about taking action, but it's also about communicating. Life force energy, Two of Pentacles. This Gemini keeps trying to find a compromise. They don't want to disappoint someone, but they also want to get what they want. They don't want to hurt somebody, but they also want what they feel is going to open up the best avenue for their own life. They're trying really hard to this. I would not envy being this particular Gemini. Hey, Bruce, good to see you, hun. Always nice to see you. Bruce, Aries and I got attacked by 2 dogs tonight, so it wasn't a great evening, but anyway, back to our story. But thank you for asking. Aries is good, and I'm no longer shaking, so it's all good. But to return to this character, I was saying it doesn't really equate to something that I think would be very fun to have to decide for this Gemini, to have to pick between what's right for themselves in their future. When they feel like to do what's right for themselves in their future, they feel like there's this huge obstacle. They're trying to pull like advice, I'll say, from the most stable source in their life, right? Life force energy. This could be someone's taking a walk in the woods and communing with nature a little bit and trying to get themselves grounded and trying to ask the forest itself, hey, what's going on? What should I do? I'm at a bit of a crossroads. I feel like I need clear guidance on something. It's interesting how life force energy is the thing that they're turning to, not like the ancestors per se. This is somebody going out like into nature to clear their mind. I keep seeing somebody who wants to clear their mind. Both of these cards look like this is autumn. It's autumn scenes. Maybe someone's going to go on a walk, a hike. We're coming up to a nice weekend. Maybe somebody's got just a little bit of downtime so they can go and just kind of like connect to their subconscious or connect to their higher self and say, I feel like everything feels a little up in the air and I got to make the right choice. So what is the right choice? They're seeing it from multiple angles: perspective, which is the Hanged Man, and synchronicity. Okay, so again, look at all of these autumn colors. We're not going to be able to answer for this Gemini what they should do, okay? It's only the Gemini can decide what they want to do or what feels right to them. But what we are watching is a character who is trying so hard to choose wisely, to make the honorable choice, to not sacrifice anything out of greed or pettiness, to really dive into themselves and say, what is making me want something, but also what's making me hold back from it? Something that feels like it's just right for me, something that I really desire. What I love about this character is that they are choosing a higher perspective. We see these hot air balloons rising. And like I said, this is the Hanged Man. And I love the fact they chose to use hot air balloons on this card instead. It just shows like sometimes the Hanged Man is procrastination, it's inability to make a decision, but it can be looking at things from a different perspective. But we rarely see something that shows us looking at things from a higher perspective. They are, if anything, I think that they're asking themselves, the best way to decide what to do is for me to picture walking in the other person's shoes. What would they do to me if I were the one? What would they do? Would they choose to, and how would I respond to them? What would I want them to do if they were me? Let's go back to the analogy of someone who's trying to decide, do I quit living with my roommate, even though they've enjoyed having me there? It worked for both of us. I know my financial support to them was good, but there's this amazing opportunity for me to get this awesome apartment on my own. I just need my deposit back from my roommate, and then I could do that, but I feel bad asking them for that. Here's the thing. They're thinking in their head, but what if they were in my shoes? What would I do? I would be like, go get that amazing apartment. Like, this is what you've wanted. You're closer to the job that you want. You're getting, like your life will be smoother. Like, I want my friends to be successful. Do that. Of course, make that work. I would be happy for them. The only reason I'm putting it in that perspective, the fact that they're looking at it from a higher perspective, is it looks like with the synchronicity card, there could be something really funny that happens here. All the stress, all of the tension, all of this deep thought that our Gemini is going through because they do not want to do somebody wrong. They don't want to choose selfishly only what works for them. They want to contemplate things deeply and make sure that they're making the right choice. It could be that turns out they get home from this long drive or this long, thought-provoking thing, and a friend goes, what I was just thinking today? I've loved having you as a roommate, but I'd like to move out of this place, maybe move into something smaller, but I don't want to leave you in the lurch. But I've been thinking, and it could even be like, Gemini's like, oh my God, this is so perfect. You're right. You want to move closer to your job and live someplace smaller that has a yard or something like that. And I actually just found this amazing apartment. Synchronicity says sometimes energies line up just right, but it comes from the higher, how do I say it? The fact that our character has given something so much consideration, so much thought, so much respect. I feel like whoever Gemini is dealing with or whatever the situation is, because they have been such a person of high integrity, even though this has been very difficult and they felt like they were between a rock and a hard place and they didn't want to be selfish, but they didn't want to miss out on chances that would move their life in the direction they wanted it to move in. They said, but maybe it's not just all about me and my life. So let me think about this long and hard. That level of integrity, it turns out the gift here is, and the synchronicity is, they've been dealing with someone else who has the same level of integrity. Someone else who basically is, maybe they're feeding off of each other. Maybe they've both unwittingly, they've both been thinking along the same lines of what's the best choice. I don't want to do or say anything that would be disrespectful or leave somebody else in the lurch. But it's almost like two people have been thinking the same thing. Now let's shift this storyline and say, because we never knew what this was about. We only see that our Gemini has a choice to make, and they've been tempted to do what they want, but they've almost been saying, but is it right for me to just do what I want to? What's a blessing in this is that they're going to be able to do exactly what's good for them, but it's also going to be good for another person. This could have been about romance. I didn't put it in that context because we didn't really see anything to support that. This is more about the decision-making process and the fact that we have a character who wants so much to do something, but they also don't want to be basically a pig about it, But this could have been about romance too. This could have been like Gemini's going, oh man, this person is so sexy. I'd love to date them. I'd love to go out with them, but can I do that? Am I able to do that? Can I ask them out? Maybe this Gemini was in the process of ending a situation elsewhere, has enough time passed. Maybe this is someone who is just getting out of a relationship, has enough time passed. Can I ask them out now? It turns out with the synchronicity and the different perspective, turns out they may be the ones that are about to ask out the Gemini. There are things that shift and change, but it's only because I think that basically we could describe this as good karma. We got the 10 of Wands in the reverse, which is the most beautiful way to see this. Instead of just acting and saying, well, I don't care. I'm going to do this anyway. It's my life. I get to do what I want, that is true. Everyone can say that, and that is true. It's your life. You get to do what you want. But the fact that this Gemini showed so much consideration, so much maturity, so much honor, that they really thought about something because they didn't want to do anybody wrong. And they didn't want it to only be, hey, my choices can impact others. So I'm self-aware enough to know that, yes, it's my life. Yes, I do what I want. But on the other hand, will my actions negatively impact somebody else? I'm aware that they could. So I need to give this some real thought. That was a burden for them. It was stressful. But because they weighed it carefully, because they earned that really good karma, not only are things working out beautifully, not only are there synchronicities and things falling into place just like exactly on time, but it also is guilt-free, stress-free. It's almost like exactly what was supposed to happen was going to happen. But what's nice is that Gemini didn't have to force it to happen. They didn't have to push their way through. They didn't have to demand. They didn't have to justify. Instead, their thought process delayed them just long enough that things naturally unfolded this way anyhow. What I'm going to say is I'm wagering to bet there was a natural ending that was occurring anyway. Gemini was aware of it. The other person's life was shifting as well. It was going to be a natural divergence, or in this case could also be a convergence if we're talking about possibly getting together into a romance. But there's energy changing. And it's almost like Gemini could feel it and they didn't quite know. It's like somebody who's standing on a waterbed or something, and it's flowing back and forth. And they're like, okay, I don't really know what to say or how to think about this yet. I need to keep considering it. And then it just kind of smooths out. It's so nice that the good karma that somebody accrued from being self-aware and conscientious has totally come back around for them. This was a difficult, sticky situation. It was a stressful situation. But the Gemini really showed who they are as a really mature person who cares about others. I earned them some good karma. I think this thing works out smooth because of all of that. So what is this really about? We didn't see enough for me to say, oh, it was about romance, or it was about a living situation, or it was about business, or it was about friendship. It could have been any of those. It could have been all of those. The bottom line is it's who the Gemini is, and they're an amazing person in this story. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Lots of love, you guys. Bruce, RT, Jojo, good to see you guys. Nats, oh, good to see you twice in one night. That's awesome. High Full Priestess, how are you? Thank you, honey. Right back at you. All right, you guys, take care, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. If you do enjoy the channel, lets me know you like it and want to see more of it. That means the world to me. So thank you, guys. Bye for now.